Cover note is something which is going to tell you about what is the value of the insured goods that are going to go in here, and then we would give you the insurance policy altogether. So Lloyds is the oldest association of the insurers, the risk undertakers. Freight policy or the freight insurance indemnifies the ship owner from the loss of earnings if the goods are damaged or lost. Good morning and welcome to the third session in Unit 2, where we are going to talk about the marine insurance. So after the fire insurance, when we talk about the marine, this is a very interesting part of the insurance. Who wouldn't have dreamt about going in a ship? Starting from the Titanic onwards, the dream of traveling in a ship or in a cruise is always a wonderful destination, wonderful idea for most of us. But then, now let's try to understand about what are the perils that are involved in terms of the marine insurance. What is a marine insurance first? A document which there is a contract of marine insurance between two parties, that is the insurer and the insured, is said to be a marine insurance policy, which means where the person, the insurance provider, and this people is taking up an insurance for securing the goods that are going to be transferred to the marine. Now, when a premium is paid in the insured marine policy, there is a cover note that is provided immediately to the insured and the policy is issued afterwards. What is a cover note now? Cover note is something which is going to tell you about what is the value of the insured goods that are going to go in here, and then we would give you the insurance policy altogether. So when we are speaking about the insurance factors here, this is something which is very crucial. Why? Because the value of goods that is going to be shipped across is of a very great level. So there is going to be challenges, there are going to be severe control factors and calculations to be included in the marine insurance part, because that is not going to be as simple as a house insurance or a motor vehicle. So a lot of calculations have to be done. So the insurance company as well as the person who's taking up the insurance will have to go through a series of checks before they start signing up the document. Now, the next thing is that what are the factors that are included in the marine insurance policy? Name and address of the insured and his agent, which is very mandatory, simple and format. So whoever is the insured person and his agent. Matter of the subject, that is whatever is the subject matter. Description of risk which is required to be covered under the insurance. So what type of the insurance that you are looking into. The time period of voyage for which the policy has been taken. Now let's say that this ship carrying the goods has to move from Mumbai in India to the South Africa coast altogether, to Johannesburg or anywhere else, or Cape Town. So that might take about more than 6 months to travel in the ship. So we have to tell what is the time period of the voyage that has to be taken. The insured sum premium payable. So what is the insured sum and how much is payable, that has to be taken into account. Name of the issuer, who is the person who's issuing the goods. Now, the marine insurance policy is considered valid agreement only when it's duly stamped. So only when it is being stamped and agreed by the insurance company, then the document policy becomes valid and you will be able to claim the marine insurance altogether. So this is going to be quite an interesting factor for all of us. Why? Because when we talk about this marine insurance policy, the subject matter is the value of goods and the time of duration which it is going to cross. Why? Because normally when you are exporting, when you are sending goods via sea, it is a long process and there is a lot of perils that are involved in terms of shipping the goods. So it is not going to be that easy where you can say that yes, the marine insurance is taken and it will automatically be covering everything. It is going to have all its factors in terms of the thought process. Followed by, on the basis of the insured interest, we will be talking about the hull policy, which is a set of standards in the marine policy, the cargo policy, the freight policy, which we are talking on the basis of the time period, the time policy, voyage policy, and mixed policy. So these are the types of marine insurance policies that are available for us. So when we talk about the types of marine insurance, there are several factors. One is the hull policy. Hull is a set of standards, principles that have been governing the marine insurance altogether. So that is also going to come into picture. The cargo policy. The cargo policy is going to talk about the value of the cargo, how it is going to be shipped, and what are all the factors that are involved. The freight policy. The freight policy is very, very important because the freight policy will tell you at what levels it is going to be taken into account. On the basis of the time period, we are also going to look into the time factors. What is going to be the time factors involved? The voyage factors, to what extent time period. Then the mixed policy, where you have a combination of multiple policies coming into picture. Followed by, on the basis of the value of insured subject matter, that you can look into it, the valued policy or the unvalued policy. Now, there are several kinds of description on the ships that we are going to talk about. The unnamed policy, named, fleet policy, floating policy, blanket cover policy, policy proof of interest, the block policy, currency policy, yacht policy. All these kind of things are going to be a part of the marine insurance altogether. Now, all these kind of insurances are one which tells us that there are several governing factors that are involved. Now, when we talk about a valued policy, that is more about the insured subject matter, to what extent the goods are valued, how it is going to be taken into account. If it is an open policy, we are going to give an open coverage value for that. Now, similarly, we have unnamed, named, which is particular. Fleet, suppose you're owning a set of fleet in terms of ships altogether, then we have it a blanket, which is an overall coverage policy. Floating policy, take one policy and cover everything else. So like this, we have an entire set of arrangements or a range of policies which is going to be included as a part of the marine policy. Now, the types of marine policy based on the issuing authority, Lloyds policy and the company's policy. Now, Lloyds is a insurance organization, rather I would say an association altogether, which will take into account all kind of risk factors which can be solved by the normal insurance factors or the policy. So Lloyd is something which has got a lot of complexity. They go ahead and take about the complicated insurance where the value is very high, and there are exceptions in those policies which are governed only by them. So Lloyd's is the oldest association of the insurers, the risk undertakers, who will take on the policies, take on all the conclusions into picture and provide the insurance coverage. The company policy is something which is very, very simple, where it is issued by a specific company towards the marine insurance. So whatever is the company's nomination value, what it has to be taken into account, all those factors will be mentioned here. So that is what we call by the company policy altogether. Now, the company policy is going to be in terms of what is the value, how they have looked into the insurance, what name they have, what specifications they have mentioned. All those factors will be mentioned here. Now, moving further, the claims include total loss of the ship, damage to the ship engines and equipment, explosions and fire, collision sustained on the ship, sometimes also the liability factors that we are speaking about. Just have a look into the ship, the image that has been spoken up here. It's a huge damage that has been caused right in the middle of the ocean. Now, you cannot predict what can happen during the time of travel, during the time of voyage, especially when you are talking about this huge container ships that are going across. Recently, we had an incident in the Suez Canal when we were talking about when the ship was stuck between the Egyptian Suez Canal altogether and towards the Panama Canal kind of thing. When the entire incident happened, the entire ship got blocked, because of which all of the ships traveling in that zone also got delayed. Now, there might be a lot of factors like that where you will see that the total loss of ship is one of the biggest claims that you can say. Now, let's say that the entire ship with the goods and the people get completely sunk in the sea because of some factor, then we are going to claim the total loss of the ship. That means the ship is untraceable, it completely got sunk because of an accident. The second thing, damage to the ship or engines. As you see in the image, some kind of damage that has happened to the entire system. That is, it might be a damage, a partial damage that we are talking about, a breakage or some kind of value that has happened. So you will be able to get insurance for that damaged value, for that engines or for the equipments altogether. Suppose there is an explosion or fire that happens altogether, and because of which there is going to be some sort of challenges, some sort of factors coming into picture, then we call it as a very, very important term. That is where a damage is being caused because of some sort of accidental value. So you can claim some insurance there also. Followed by collisions or sustained due to the ship, or sometimes towards a liability. So a ship goes and hits another ship in the sea, or it goes and hits some rock or some other iceberg kind of thing. So you can also claim an insurance out of the collision that has happened. Followed by the cargo policy. What is a cargo policy? The insurance policy taken by the owner of the goods, the cargo insurance, also called as the marine cargo policy. It covers all the physical damages that can happen to that of the goods that is going to happen while during the transit of land, sea or air, or the offers considerable. Basically, when I use this word cargo, I am trying to talk about all these goods which are going to be carried by the ship. So if there is going to be any damage to the cargo, to the goods that is being carried, and that can happen either due to the transit, that can happen either due to some flood, some damage that is happening altogether at the port, or due to some kind of voyage factors, then you are going to claim an insurance. So let me just give you an example here. Suppose the value of the good is worth about, say, $1 billion altogether. So there would be an insurance coverage for that much amount. That is where they will calculate and they say that, okay, for this $1 billion worth of good, we are going to provide you a capped insurance altogether. So for the person who's sending the goods from one place to another place will be able to claim this insurance based on the capped factors altogether. So there is, we have to understand what kind of challenges a person can face while he is traveling down in terms of the voyage. Followed by marine cargo insurance also provides insurance in respect of loss of damage due to the cargo, that is by rail, road and sea while export kind of thing, consignments that are sent by the railroad, articles sent by post, damages from bad weather, sea water or freshwater flooding. So all these kind of things are new terms to us. Why? Because we are not much accustomed with the marine policy. But nevertheless, let's try to understand here. While the goods are in transport or in transit factor altogether, so there might be a chance of delay in goods. There might be a chance that there's some mishap that can happen. There might be a chance that some kind of factors that might go on a deletion process altogether. So what we tend to do here is that we take the consignments by rail, road or articles. All these kind of factors are going to be covered under the marine cargo insurance. Damages by bad weather. Suddenly there was a cyclone, there was a storm, there was some kind of untoward incident that led to the damage of the entire scenario here. That is also going to be covered under the marine cargo. And we are also going to look into factor the seawater or fresh water that starts flooding here. So what will be the very important factor of a marine cargo insurance is that all these clauses are going to be looked into, and in case if there is going to be any changes, that is going to be included here. That's going to be a part of the beneficiary that the insured is going to get. Followed by the freight policy. Freight policy or the freight insurance indemnifies the ship owner from the loss of earnings if the goods are damaged or lost and are not delayed altogether, are not delivered altogether. Now, earnings part is very, very important. So when you look at the ship altogether, if there is going to be some sort of changes that is going to happen because of which the insured person is going to lose in terms of his earnings, he is going to make a loss in terms of the goods being not delivered, or the goods not coming on time, or the goods getting affected. All those kind of things will definitely impact on his earnings. So when that earnings is going to get impacted, he needs to have an insurance that will go further, identify the loss and bring him back to normalcy. So in that condition, we are going to talk about the freight policy. So the freight insurance or the freight policy is going to be an extra coverage package that is going to stand together in terms of helping that particular person to recover all kind of losses, so that the goods which are going to be damaged or they're going to be delayed or some sort of friction that happens, the earnings are not completely lost. With this, I come to the end of this particular session. In the upcoming session, we will be talking more about the different factors of the marine insurance altogether. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.